Hello, I'm Russell-J. Gould, Postmaster-General of our world, Comptroller of the global currency, Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military, armed forces, as well as Chief Judge of the U.S. Supreme Court, as well as Chief Judge of the Federal-Postal Court. I'm talking to you today about the clues of transitioning between the fact and the fiction, and the wonderful clues that are out here for us to see. Now, as many of you know or don't know, I have come out with a new documentary film about the things that I've been doing behind the scenes for the last 24 years. And you can go to lastflagstanding.com for an update on my story. But for those of you that are learning about me and watching these videos that I'm putting forward to share with you the clues of all the fakeness that we're seeing out here and how to transition our reality between fact and fiction so that we create a positive performance on the outcome of our lives and the manifestation of that. And so these are some of the things that I'm going to share today about some of the things that we're seeing, not only in the fake presidential election of 2020 here in the United States, but as well as the pantomime globally put on by the military-industrial complex to thwart and steal our rights, lock us down in our homes, as well as simultaneously make us mask and take the essence and the love and the sharing of our breath of life with our fellow mankind. Please feel free to share this video with others as people learn, and you learn some clues today about the transitioning of the facts and looking at the fiction. So I'd like to say thank you very much, and you can go also to fortheclaimofthelife.com to get a claim of the life if you'd want it as you learn between fact and fiction. So with that in mind, I'd like to start moving forward today and looking at some of the dichotomies of the clues that are out here for our minds to wrap around, and for those that know about this, that we can share with others in the correctness and the truth so that you don't wrong lead people, because there's a lot of people that have learned about this and then that are wrong leading people with their choice of their own volition because they just don't have enough material background, or they're greedy, or have some vanity or some misconceptions in their mind about who's who and what the facts really are out here.
Schools, I recently announced that we're launching a new pro-American lesson plan for students called the 1776 Commission. We will teach our children the greatness and glory of America, if they don't know it. But, you know, they're not being taught that. They're being taught that we're not great.
As we watch this fake presidential election, we can see some of the clues that are out here. Now, whether Mr. Trump knows this or not is none of my knowing, but he is putting clues where he's putting a 1776 commission on teaching the children a history lesson so they remember where we come from or where they come from. Unfortunately for him, he's left out the clue of the 1775 filing. See, the United States was in bankruptcy when they filed under a domestic bankruptcy, which ran 7 years from 1775, which takes you to 1782. And then from 1782 takes you to 1789, where they came out with the Constitution of the United States. And when they came out with the Constitution of the United States, they registered into 70-year moratoriums for international bankruptcy, and the last one ended on November 2nd, 1999. And so you can go to lastflagstanding.com and get a background on that, which will take you into the law of the flag. So any bankruptcies that happened after 1999 that they're claiming, we know this to be a clue also as fakeness, because they did not have a flag to enter into contract to create a bankrupt or a banking contract. So this is also part of the fake pantomime that people are being misled into. But back to the Children's Commission of 1776. When you're looking at the teaching the 1776 Commission for Children, you're looking at giving them the concept of the illusion of freedom, because 1775 they had already borrowed the notes, so they were in bankruptcy. So bankrupt people can't contract. So in 1776, when you gave you your Bill of Rights, they were already indebted. And when they're indebted, they can't give you rights. They can't give you freedom. So what they're wanting to do is teach the children in 1776 of a new paradigm, where it's the illusion that they're gaining knowledge on freedom. It's the illusion that you have some sort of rights. Simultaneously, It is a mirror of what is versus what is not. So we're going to look further into the eradication of history. Some of the things that they're doing with that is they're scrubbing statues, scrubbing high school names, like in San Francisco of Thomas Jefferson High School and all these different things, George Washington and all these people that they're eradicating. Well, why can the other side do that? The reason why they're saying they can do that, and they're not telling the people, of course, is because the United States Constitution and the joinder of that concept of the people who wrote that document ended in 1999. So it's kind of a spoof on the American people. The joke's on you, you didn't know sort of thing. And, you know, most people won't complain about it until the tanks come down their front driveway, and then they'll be like, wait a minute, this is what Eisenhower was talking about. But we'll get into that into a later segment here in this closure that you're getting today.
We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died. We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died.
Mass, half recovering and half getting worse. We can't continue. Half wearing masks and half rejecting signs. We can't continue. Half with a plan and half just hoping for the best. To wear a mask in public. Period. Period. Wear a mask.
These numbers that these politicians say, 220 million people dead, and all these nonsensical fables that they tell us. Then they say a statement, and then they take back the statement, and yet the statement is still asserted in your mind, where they then come in with another statement to reaffirm the statement that they took back. So this goes on over and over and over again. And how does this work? Well, unfortunately, because there is no Constitution in the United States, because that joinder of that banking contract ended in 1999, this is how they're locking you down in your homes, because it is all rogue, put on by the military-industrial complex and the post office to enslave your right of the travel. You have no rights of the travel anymore. I mean, we have to come out of our denial of knowing, because not only it's here in the United States, but it's a worldwide phenomenon. But I placed a solution on the table in 2001 when I took over the Universal Postal Union and all shipping lanes on the planet. What that means for your country of Australia or Ireland or Scotland is your country is in the same shipping lanes in joinder with the Universal Postal Union. But the construct and the charters for the Universal Postal Union were found to be 100% fraud by me in 2001. I syntexed those charters, putting a new charter in place, allowing the citizens to now get claims of the life, which you can get at claim of the life for theclaimofthelife.com, and they now have a new sea lane that they can be on, keeping the outside world of fiction out of their lives. How that works is because your country, wherever you are in the world, is in joinder for shipping through the post office. This has always been a shipping war, and our ability to claim ourselves and find ourselves in time and space. This is what all the wars are over, is the manipulation of time. The quantum grammar puts the syntax of communication in a now space control for the sovereignty of the people.
When someday I leave, whether it's in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 16 years,
now, I'd like to share some more concepts. Let me shift back to the United States and this fake pantomime of the fake presidential election. And they say things in there like, you'll hear one candidate and he'll say that, hey, I'm going to run for another 12 years or 16 years. Well, why can he, and he's joking about that. Well, the joke's on all of you. The reason why he can say that is there are no guidelines to run for president. This is a spoof, a theater, pantomime, Ken and Barbie doll show that's being spelled out right in front of you guys so that the people buy into it thinking it's really cool. But then the reality is he can say that because there are no guidelines for a president of the United States. Let's talk about a few things that this gentleman has done during his positioning, like dividing the world by placing up a wall. Well, let me think about that for a second. It looks like one thing where he's keeping people out, but there's two sides to this wall. Now, since there's a fence there, how are you going to get out when the tanks come rolling up when they go to force vaccine you? This is the very thing that Eisenhower was warning us about with the military-industrial complex. Simultaneously, you hear one candidate talking about Operation Warp Speed. Well, has anybody looked at the Board of Governors for the Operation Warp Speed? Every single person on the Board of Governors and every single shareholder for those corporations that are going to be moving the vaccines through the material readiness and logistical support arm of the United States Army to come in and force vaccinate you, they are with the military-industrial complex, which means they are career military personnel. Now they've put up a fence so that you can't escape their forced vaccines to move you into a transhumanist agenda, so that they take away from the creativity of sovereign thinking. Simultaneously, they give you the illusion of let's remember to teach the kids the 1776 Commission on the Bill of Rights. Simultaneously, they know that it's a spoof because you have no rights. It's a rogue nation. It's a rogue military-industrial complex, harvesting the citizens of the United States of America, Inc., which was expired in 1999, simultaneously going to turn around and try to harvest the whole world. There's just a few bad actors. The citizens of the world need to clue themselves in, come out of their denial, thinking that there's some kind of savior behind a constitution that doesn't exist. Now, the spirit of the Constitution, I'd like to talk about that a little bit and what the Founding Fathers were talking about there. There's a reason some of them would talk about the blood of tyrants and what that meant. They were talking about this day, because the day is coming upon all of you where our minds are allowing this concept to come into us that we need some sort of vaccination, that we can't take care of ourselves, that somebody needs to take care of us. That is not what sovereignty and the autonomousness of who we are as a people is. The sovereignty of who we are is free choice, free thinking. When they use the scientific war that they have coming against us, which is with the 5G, with the vaccines, with the nanobot technology that they can inject us with, this will now move us away and move us into a zombie condition of state where you will be told when to stand outside, when you will be told when to go have fun, go camping or go play basketball or go skiing or go to your hobbies or go dancing or go to your beaches or go play pool or whatever you like to do for your fun. Go hang out with your friends. You're going to be told to sit in a bubble, and then you're going to be told that, hey, if that person isn't vaccinated, then stay away from them. And they're going to create this runaway condition where that you have those that have been vaccinated thinking that they're doing something valuable for themselves, actually being in a cult of mind control, where they are now no longer sovereign conditions, creating their own thoughts because they're being totally manipulated by the outside social engineering, both from a scientific position, from the 5G, from the social engineering from your Facebooks, your Instagrams, and unfortunately, we're out on those things too, simultaneously teaching you, giving you the closure of, because it's the tools that we have. But we have to be cognizant when we see all these wonderful people cutting up and standing up saying, hey, we have to keep it community-based. Hey, we have to elect a good sheriff. We have to do this. We have to do that. Know now that the sheriff's department and the sheriffs in every county in the United States gets their paycheck from that country's attorney general, or that state's attorney general. I'm sorry about that. And that state's attorney general was actually, this was placed under executive order by Trump. This is what allows all of them to control all of you, because the paychecks are coming from the state attorney general's office, not from the taxes that the citizens pay state taxes to the government, state government. That's not where they're being paid from. They're being paid from the state authorized by Mr. Trump due to this mental health illness that they have to quash or attempt to place those concepts on your life and your thinking. So some of the solutions that have been put in place to stop this, of course, is the education of ourselves. To come out of the self-cognition, to know that we have a wonderful world here. There's a wonderful space, that we all have the capacity to create the thoughts and the outcome that we wish in our lives, in our minds. And what they're trying to do is stop that with this 5G and vaccines. So throughout history, the terms of contract were always regulated by a tribe or a nation's flag or their medallions or their hieroglyphics, their symbolism of who they are as a people. But as you see the world transitioning away from that, what are they going to do to create the contract venue if there's no flag regulating the venue? Well, they're going to create a digital space to where they can delete who they want in and out of that function in that place. So the digital space now has no rules and no guidelines of contract regulation. So we must be very cautious as we move towards digital currencies where you do not have the position or location for a solution against that which is done to your meta tag, metadata, and your credits that they are going to balance on your cloud. So as we think them out of not placing us into a digital cloud, we come back to the mechanics of the law of the flag. So the digital cloud has no jurisdiction within the now space of the flag. What that means is the genocode of the meta tag and metadata will never be uplinked into your now space because you have a flag to stand on. But the cloud is never there in your now space, which means they can't control what comes in and out of your contracting space, what your sovereign state allows to come in and out. See, the law of the flag authorizes that which you want to come in and out of contract zone. If something that they're trying to bring in does not fit your specs of how you want your life to be managed or conducted, you can now use the flag to maneuver that out of your life. And so it's funny how they call it a cloud. Why wouldn't they call it light? Are you telling me that they're going to use a cloud to block the light of who we are? So as we move past that, the light always pierces through the darkest of clouds. No matter how dark the cloud is, when you turn that light on, which is within every one of us, the light will always shine through their cloud, and they can never upload you to a cloud. Keep that in mind as you contract from point A to point B, as you navigate our lives and navigate yourself. Where things are heading, based upon the clues that are given to us by our politicians, by the candidates that are running, where they're saying they're going to use the military to come in and deliver the vaccines. What exactly does that mean? Well, I'd like to pause for a second and tell you a story about the things that I've been through in my journey, what I've witnessed as I've dealt with what they call the United States Army Psychological Warfare Department. And some of the stories that they would tell me is that they are looking forward to creating chaos. And out of that chaos, when they bring in the military, they're going to give you two choices. Number one, take the chip, participate with the vaccine and your chip to be part of the mark of the beast, or we're going to kill you. Those are the two choices. But I, knowing the laws of the manifestation and the concepts, know that they'll never come because our thinking is so powerful. We are so powerful as citizens and sovereign thinking beings on this planet. The art of your manifestation and how you create will never allow that concept to come into your world because of the love and the light and how we share with our fellow mankind, how we learn how to be correct in our communications, how we share this transmission and share other transmissions that are based upon solutions, not upon this fear-based warmongering. I mean, we watch the fear-based warmongering all the time where you got that, who's the guy that cracks me up? Alex Jones. I'm Alex Jones, and they're going to do this to you, and they're going to do that to you, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Come on, man. Get with the concepts. The concepts is we must learn how to communicate. You know, this guy, Mr. Jones, pretty bright guy. You know, he part of the military-industrial complex, psychological warfare department, of course. As he spews his rhetoric and tells about what they're going to do, and they're doing bad, they're doing this, when is he putting out concepts of good news for the people? Where we're having concepts of sharing it and communicating with our fellow mankind using correct grammar. Where are all those concepts? Fact is, they're not there in his world. Mr. Rogan has come into sharing people how to get in touch with themselves, men being cognizant of who they are and accountability for their actions. And that's a good thing. But there are many solutions on the table that he's making presumptions on. And the main presumption and the denial that these people continue to have is looping into the fact, looping, the Constitution, it's over. And Mr. Eisenhower warned us the most. And if you listen to his speech, the clues of what he was saying are everywhere in our day-to-day life. So this is a very wonderful time to live because we have the chance to reverse that. We have the chance to share communication. We have the chance to root this style of thinking out of our lives so we don't have to continue in this loop over and over and over. They're going to do this to you. They're going to do that to you. Oh, and the last guy that was just part of the false narrative of the whole thing was this QAnon. Where are his solutions? Who is his person? Nobody really knows. I certainly don't know. But the concept that he did bring to sharing people that there was a problem and that there is problems out here, that's a good thing. But to put your trust in a gentleman, Mr. Trump, that has zero authorization to exist as a president, has no flag, has no post office, has no banking, has no ports, has no military, and yet you continue to spin the American people into this loop? Shame on those who are running the Q efforts. And as we watch the social engineering try to blame the QAnon phenomenon onto some suburban guy, really? Come on now, people. Give me a break. Give me a break. People, we're smarter than that. We have our beautiful minds that have beautiful thoughts in it. It's time to manifest those beautiful thoughts as we go to bed, as we wake up, in our dream state, in our day-to-day life, as we communicate with our fellow mankind, as we take our masks off, as we know that we are not sick. You are not a sickly people. You're a lively people. You're full of love. You're full of energy. You're full of life. You're not full of sickness. Don't let them bombard you with this, that everybody's sick. Everybody's dying of sickness. Yes, death is a part of this journey as we come through this space. But it does not, we do not live to the fear of the death. We live for the love of the life. Different style of living. Love of the life, not afraid of the death. So as they come to force vaccinate you, think that out of your mind, because you don't have to loop into that anymore. They're not coming. And if they do, remember what Patrick Henry spoke of. Sometimes blood on the streets is necessary, but make sure we're not killing our citizens. Let's take a look at a very classical thing that happened in Pakistan in 2007. As martial law was declared by the government and then by the military, the first thing that happened, and we'll play that clip, is that all the attorneys in the country got beat up as they were dragged out of their homes and hauled into concentration camps. The reason why this happened, it was the attorneys that were looping the continued narrative into place.
What has happened this morning, 1,500 lawyers have been arrested, 300, 400 people, Pakistan People's Party workers have been arrested. News are pouring in from all over the country that there is a total clampdown in the country against political workers. All political activists are being caged in. So I don't think it is going to lie down. It's going to spread like wildfire, and I think that there will be tough resistance to this measure by the people of Pakistan in short time.
Well, the same thing's happening in this country and worldwide. It is the attorneys that are in control of the moving the finances, which now keep us all in bondage. From the Attorney General's office, State Attorney General's office here in the United States, to the International Bank of Settlements and the judges and the international theater of attorneys that create these pantomimes, tell us that we're sick. We are not sick. We are with the life and we are with the love. And our light and love is stronger than any sickness on this planet. And as we share that with our fellow mankind, we will see barriers being moved. We will see that we have no walls to hold us within. We will learn that our travel and our position of not being afraid as you manifest. Now let me clarify this. People of planet Earth, do not fear your destiny of your manifestations. Learn to embrace it. Love it. See it. Speak it. Make it happen for you. But don't be angry with your fellow mankind if they don't comprehend this. This is why we share this style of thinking. This is why we share this style of concept, so that the people learn that they don't have to be caught up in this loop of racism, transgender, and all these things that they've bombarded upon us. And unfortunately, we've been bombarded with the chemicals and the foods that they've been placing upon us with their technocracy for a number of years. And in that, it's complex our ability and our synapses in our body to create the cellular energy to create positive light. But we are learning to get beyond that. And as we do that, and as we balance and we come through our chakras and we open that all up for ourselves and to share that with others, there are many people that will share this because they know what I'm talking about. And it comes deep from within each and every one of us because it is all of the same. We are all of the same. There is no color. It is all oneness of the love and the light. And as we learn that, these people that are not evolving, that are staying in that loop, they will destroy themselves. But those of us who are outside that paradigm, we will not be destroyed by this because those vaccines will not come. Those guns and clubs won't come. And for those of you who are out here that know correctness and know truth and are using that to tell and create a fable to wrong lead people, you will be dealt with in a different way. You do not comprehend the concept of the manifestations yet, but you will through your own nefarious ways. You will learn that when you come across someone who lives in the truth and someone who has lived it out and laid out the journey, and then you try to piggyback upon that and steal the concepts and wrong lead the people, you will be dealt with in a different way. There will be no quarter from either side for you. That will be different because there are two boundary lines here. There's fact, which will never hurt the correctness and the truth. Because fact and fiction can never meet. Fiction doesn't exist. That's the fable of looping that is no longer in our world. The correctness, the light and love over here of the truth, that will always self-generate. That will never be killed. That will never die. And so, ladies and gentlemen, learn to communicate with correct communication, parse, syntax, grammar. Learn to see your outcome. Learn to visualize. Prepare yourself mentally as this looping gets moved out of your world and we move into a condition of state of the correctness and of the truth to have transparency, travel, and in your minds and in your life and in your thoughts. In every ounce of who you are, see the truth and veto the fiction.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. How to do this? 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.